listeners, and welcome to episode 89 of the Nigeria Football Weekly podcast with me, your host, Olu Oke. And yes, we are back for yet another season. Football is back, guys, officially for 24-25. And it's a pleasure to be here to bring all the news concerning Nigeria to you. So what do we have in stock for today? I'm just going to be doing a quick preview for the 24-25 season, including the ones to watch in terms of Nigerian players, transfers that have happened between our national team players so far, and any news that's happened regarding the Super Eagles and the Super Falcons, and just rounding off with all the fixtures to come over the weekend as the season kicks into gear across Europe and in other parts of the world. So without any further ado, let's get into it. So we're going to start with the transfers that we've seen so far in the season over the summer regarding Nigerian players. I'll say so far it's not exactly been a blockbuster international transfer window regarding Nigerian players. It's more of a slow burn, I would say. And to be fair, that's kind of the trend we've seen in terms of the general transfer market anyway. I'm sure we're going to see a lot more transfers happening between now and the end of August. Today is the 12th of August, compared to what we've seen so far. But anyway, we've still seen some good transfers so far. I think the headline transfers for me would be the two Nigerian players who have gone to Sevilla. So Kelechi Iheanacho and Chidera Ejike have both signed free transfers to Seville. So Kelechi Iheanacho signed a 2-year deal and Chidera Ejike signed a 3-year deal to Sevilla. Chidera Ejike in particular has looked very, very good in preseason so far, which has been very good to see. And Iheanacho has also settled in so far. At least I'm sure he played the last preseason game. So those would be quite two very good, interesting ones to watch out for. You know, Ejike looks like he'll probably start on the left wing ahead of Ocampos, while Kelechi will have competition with the Spanish striker. I've forgotten his name, but it'll come back to me. But you like to believe the NHL will get a lot more opportunities to play. Also, Fisayo Disley Bashiru has moved to Lazio. He's there on a 1-year loan from Atayaspor, €2 million loan fee. We saw Fisayo Disley Bashiru pretty much burst onto the scene in terms of the Nigerian fan consciousness over the summer when he scored the goal against South Africa in the World Cup qualifier. So I'm really excited and look forward to tracking him and what he's going to do at Lazio. Wilfred Ndidi surprised us and signed a contract extension at Leicester. So he's going to be there for another 3 years, which is probably good news for him and his family. You know, he's quite settled there. He's probably one of their most senior players, you know, well respected by the squad and the staff, and probably, you know, very settled in the area. So it makes sense from that perspective. So let's see if he can help Leicester remain in the Premier League this season. Gabriel Osho moved on a free transfer to Auxerre in the French league. His deal was up at Luton. So he signed a 1-year contract with the League One side with an option to extend for another year. We also had two of our players signed for MLS clubs. Chidozie Awaziem signed for Cincinnati for €500,000, and Alassane Yusuf surprisingly signed for New England Revolution for €2.3 million. I say surprising because he was only 24 years old, and I still think it's a bit too early to go to the MLS for what we thought was his potential ceiling. But anyway, good luck to him, and at least we know he'll have a very good quality of life over there. We also saw Mohamed Tijani go on loan to Plymouth in the Championship in England from Slavia Prague. The appeal there is that he's going to play under Wayne Rooney. So fair play to him, although it didn't start well for them over the weekend, as they lost 4-0 in their first game of the season. Ebenezer Akinson-Miro, the promising central midfielder for Nigeria, has moved to Sampdoria on a 1-year loan deal from Inter Milan. So it's going to be interesting to see how he does in Serie B for Sampdoria. Chidozie Chubikeme Ekwemesi moved to OH Leuven from Salernitana in the Belgian league. So it'll be interesting to see how he does there. In positive news, Anthony Wakame has moved back to Trabzonspor from Al Fayha. He's something of a hero in Trabzonspor anyway, so I think this one was more of an emotional return. So let's see if he can help them. You know, last season they finished third and they lost the Turkish Cup final, so I'm sure they'll be looking to go one better. And of course, remember, they won the league with Nwakeme being one of their star players, so maybe it'll be a fantastic reunion for them. We shall see. And then finally, we saw Jonathan Okoronkwo move from Krasnodar in Russia to Hatayspor in Turkey. So those are some of the transfers we've seen so far that thought are worth mentioning. Obviously, there are a few more that I've probably missed out. And one to watch is Peter Alainka as a free agent at the moment. So let's see where he's going to sign. I heard rumors he's going to go back to Slavia Prague. So watch out for that one. I think that may be what happens there, but let's see. In sad news, Terry Murphy tore his ACL, so he's out for 6 to 9 months. I'm really, really sad to see. So we're probably not going to see him play football for the rest of this year, and we wish him a full and speedy recovery. In terms of Nigerian news, we saw the Super Falcons play in the Olympic Women's Football Tournament. Unfortunately, it was not a very, very good performance. The Super Falcons lost all 3 games. Our first game, we lost 1-0 to Brazil. We were a bit unlucky in this game, but to be fair, Brazil's goal was really, really good, and they did have another goal disallowed. Oshoala did not play in this game for reasons best known to the coach. In our second game, we lost to Spain 1-0, which is no embarrassment, so to speak. But we did miss 2 gilt-edged performances, although it must be said Spain were by far the dominant team in that game. And then our third game, we were really, really bad against Japan. Japan beat us 3-1, and that was it. So, really, really bad. We have to go back to the drawing board. Yes, it was a very tough group, but considering how well we played in the World Cup last year without losing any game in 90 minutes, we beat the host Australia. We lost on penalties to England in the round of 16. You would have just expected a bit more from the Super Falcons. So very disappointing, but hopefully they continue to get the support they need from the NFF and even more. We know that there's a World Cup, that will be following very soon in 3 years' time for the women. But more importantly, next for them would be probably the women's AFCON, which should be next year, I believe. So let's watch out for that space. Speaking of the Super Eagles have been drawn in Group D for the AFCON 2015 qualifiers, which will be taking place in Morocco next year. So in our group, we've been drawn with Benin Republic, Rwanda, and Libya. Interestingly enough, Benin and Rwanda are also in our World Cup qualifying group, and we know that Nigeria lost to Benin in our most recent international game, so we can't afford to take any of these teams for granted. The good news is these games are coming thick and fast and very soon. They will happen over the first international break of the season, which is in early September. So Nigeria will first host Benin on Saturday, September 7th, probably at the Godzilla Brabio Stadium in Uyo, and then we would go fly to Rwanda to play Rwanda on the 10th of September, which is a Tuesday. So it's very, very important that we get to start. Obviously, we finished second in AFCON this year, so we need to go and at least match that showing and show that all this current disarray we are seeing at the moment is only a temporary wahala and better days are ahead. Speaking of wahala, we still don't know the Super Eagles head coach. It's been almost 2 months since Finidi George stepped down. We haven't heard anything. He's even already become the manager of Rivers United. We've had some rumors linking us to Eric Chale, who was the former Mali coach, Tom Seinfeld, he was the former Gambian coach, and also Hervé Renard, who has just recently stepped down from the French women's team at the Olympics. So I'm not sure which is really true, because the NFF don't really tell us anything, but we shall see what happens anyway. Moving on to one other piece of good news involving Nigeria. Sevilla penned a deal with the NPFL. So the Nigerian Premier League partnered with Sevilla. And this deal is all about enhancing coaching, training, and youth football development within NPFL club sides. The collaboration aims to expand Sevilla's global fan base while focusing on nurturing young talent and providing strategic advice for sporting growth in Nigeria. So I thought that was an interesting thing to call out and one for us to monitor and at least give kudos where it's due. So, ones to watch for the season. So, which are the Nigerian players that we got a keen eye on to just try and see what could happen in terms of their football career this season? So starting, of course, with our star player, Victor Osimhen. Transfer saga all summer. Fabrizio Romano has been very clear that Napoli want to sell him and he wants to leave. We know he signed that contract in December with a release clause, which no team at the moment is willing to pay. But we also know that even in terms of market value, we're still looking at like a £90 million player here. So we know that he agreed personal terms with PSG, but PSG were not able to agree a fee with Napoli. But we also know that Napoli would like to sign Lukaku from Chelsea. So there's rumors that there may be a deal worked out between Chelsea and Napoli in terms of Lukaku and Osimhen. So this is one to watch. But wherever Osimhen ends up anyway, he's going to have a good season, or he has to. Last year was a bit of a lull season for him, even though he still scored 15 goals in 22 games. But we really need him to have a really, really good season, and just put behind all the wahala, even from the summer with the whole Finidi George rant and all the stuff that's been going on. So really interested to see how Victor Osimhen bounces back this season. Also, of course, Victor Boniface. I mean, after last season, fantastic season with 31 goal contributions. 3 months also shaved off from his season last year. So I'm really, really looking forward to seeing what he could do for Bayer Leverkusen this season. Can they retain their title? How far will they go in the Champions League? Can he challenge for the Golden Boot in Germany? All these questions and more shall be answered by the one and only Victor Boniface. So looking forward to that this season. Samuel Chukwueze as well. I mean, after a very disappointing last season, he's had a very, very good preseason for AC Milan, it must be said. Can he keep his form? I think it's very, very pivotal season for Samuel Chukwueze. So really looking forward to how well he can do this season for AC Milan. And then speaking of wingers, Chidera Ejuke, he's moved to Sevilla. He's been exciting in preseason already, and it looks like he's a social media fan favorite already. So can he strive and force his way into the starting next side and really light up La Liga? I think La Liga fits his skill set even better, to be honest, with him being a very skillful player. So let's see if he could settle in and really get end products to match the dribbling that we know he has. Also, Kelechi Iheanacho. Can he finally get a season where he's the starting striker for a team in a top 5 league and just expected to play most of the games? How many goals could he score in a 38 league game season? I mean, there's a time I thought he could score 20. So is it still possible? Is that still wishful thinking? Let's see what happens. He's going to have to battle it out with Isaac Romero, who's the young striker with 4 goals in 14 games last season. So let's see if he could stay fit and really, make an impression and a name for himself in Seville. Moving on, Fisayo Delibashiru as well. Really excited to see what he could do for Lazio. We've seen what he could do for Nigeria in his first 2 caps. His first cap. So can he do it in a bigger league? He's gone from literally League 1 in England to the Turkish League in another season, and from the Turkish League to Serie A. So can we see him make the step up and really, make a great impression for himself in the league? And to be fair, Serie A has been a good omen for Nigerian players in recent seasons. So fingers crossed he could tap into that anointing as well. And then also Maduka Okoye, really, really, really important season for him. He's earned the #1 spot in Udinese now. So let's see if he could continue the form that kept him in the side throughout the end of last season, that helped Udinese stave off relegation. It will also be his first full season under Fabio Cannavaro as manager. So can he continue to really impress and maybe even, get looking from the bigger clubs? Ola Aina as well, one more year in Nottingham. I'm really, really intrigued to see how Ola Aina can do this season. I think he's still better than Nottingham Forest, but can he stay fit all season and really put together a great package season? Remains to be seen. Same for Wilfred Ndidi. He had a very, very good season last season in the Championship, playing in a more advanced role in terms of being a box-to-box number 8. So how will he play under this new manager, Steve Cooper? He started all their games in preseason, so let's see what kind of Ndidi we see in the Premier League when the season resumes on Friday. Moving on to Bright Osai Samuel, great season last year for Fenerbahce. Regular starter for Fenerbahce as they got 99 points, and he's been starting for Mourinho so far. So let's see if he continues in that vein. And then finally, Rafael Leodika, really, really good season for Club Brugge as they won the league. So he'll be playing in the Champions League this season. Let's see if he could kick on and, really, really, really shine and, capture the attention of the biggest clubs in Europe. So those are some of our players to look out for. And then bonus, I'll just say Trustekong. He's finally moved to Saudi Arabia. He's going to play for Al Khaloud. He's turning 31 in September. So we know he's not getting any younger. But considering the season he had, especially at AFCON, is he making a move too soon? I don't know. But time will tell. So that's it in terms of players to watch out for. And of course, there's other players like Gift Urban and Nathan Taylor and Ako Adams and so many players we can mention that we would like to look out for and see how they perform. Even Alexi Iwobi, now that Emil Smith Rowe is back at Fulham. Can they rekindle some of their partnership from the Arsenal days? Who knows? They already look very, very comfortable with each other. Emmanuel Dennis, who's played some preseason minutes for Nottingham Forest, will we see him play? Who knows? So these are all things for us to continue to monitor and observe. So that's it in terms of the first part of this episode. So just to round up this episode of this podcast, I just want to touch on the games that are going to be taking place over the weekend involving our players as the season is finally back. So starting with the Premier League, it must be said that a lot of our players in the Prem don't really play for the best teams, it must be said at the moment. But nevertheless, we'll still watch Alex Iwobi and Fulham take on Manchester United this Friday at Old Trafford. That's officially the season opener for the Premier League, so very, very exciting. Let's see how the boys perform. Last season, if I'm not mistaken, Alex Iwobi scored the winning goal at Old Trafford as well for Fulham, so can he do it again? That'll be really interesting to watch. Wilfred Ndidi's Leicester, they'll be opening their campaign at home against Tottenham on Monday. That'll be Monday Night Football, so that should be a very, very good game. Although it must be said, the way Leicester have been playing in preseason, it could be a really, really bad game for them. Nottingham Forest, they've had pretty okay results in preseason. Will we see Olajuwon? I'm sure we'll see Olajuwon start. He's been starting in preseason. Will Emmanuel Dennis make the bench? Is he going to be sold? It remains to be seen. Will Taiwo Awoniyi be able to usurp Chris Wood as starting striker? He's probably not going to start the season starting, but let's see if he can break into the squad as season progresses. But they will be playing Bournemouth at home on Saturday. Southampton, Joaribo's playing Newcastle away on Saturday. Polonachu is likely to be sold. I'm not sure where he's going to go yet, but we know his favorite stomping ground is Turkey and Belgium, so I would not be surprised if he ends up in either of those leagues. As for Frank Onyeka, Brentford start their season at home against Crystal Palace on Sunday. In the Championship, Elijah Adebayo and Fred Oyedima have just lost 3-1 to Burnley for their Luton side. Adebayo started the game. I don't know if Fred Oyedima played. The game has literally just ended right now. Next up for them, they play Portsmouth away on Saturday. As for West Brom, we saw Semi Ajayi play 90 minutes while Josh Maja scored a hat-trick on the first day of the season for West Brom as they beat QPR away on Saturday. Next up for them, they play in the EFL Cup tomorrow against Fleetwood away, and then they host Leeds on Saturday. Tom Bashiru played for Watford, played on 90 minutes as they lost 3-2 to Millwall on Saturday. They'll also be in action in the EFL Cup on Tuesday against MK Dons, and then they'll post Stoke City at home on Saturday. Jamilu Collins was not in the squad for Cardiff. He's injured. He's likely to be back in early October, so we wish him a speedy recovery. While Mohamed Tijani, as I mentioned, played for Plymouth in their opening game against Sheffield Wednesday, but they got absolutely battered 4-0. So it's not been a good start for Wayne Rooney. But they have the chance to rectify that when they play Cheltenham at home on Tuesday in the EFL Cup, and then they host Hull City on Saturday. Moving on to Syria, and this is where it gets exciting because of how well or how good our players are relatively to the clubs they play for. Ademola Lookman will be in action for Atalanta on Wednesday in the UEFA Super Cup against Real Madrid. So that should be a very, very tasty tie, and really looking forward to seeing how Lookman plays against the best team in Europe, which is Real Madrid, of course. And then he'll be opening his Syria account away against Lecce on Monday. Maduka Okoye and Isaac Success, they were in action in the Italian Cup on Saturday. They won 4-0, so clean sheet from Maduka Okoye. We know in Syria, they have this weird thing where I think the bottom 14 teams all have to play in the Italian Cup from the beginning round, whereas the top 8 or the top 6 teams are given a bye. So that's why teams like Udinese have to play. But they opened their season against Bologna away on Sunday. Victor Osimhen is not in the match day squad for Napoli, so there's no point in reporting about who Napoli are going to play. All indications is he's going to leave. He hasn't played a single preseason game, even though he's been training. So we wish Osimhen all the best, and we'll see where he ends up. Samuel Chukwueze's AC Milan will be in action against Torino at home on Saturday. So really looking forward to that one, and I'm really hoping Chukwueze could start. We know there's a new manager, Paulo Fonseca, so he seems to really like Chukwueze. So I'm hoping we'll see that continue in this opener for the season. As for Tyron Ebuehi, we wish him a recovery. We know he tore his ACL in March, so he's likely to be out for the rest of the year at least. And then Fisayo Bashiru, let's see if he starts against Venezia at home on Sunday. Moving on to the Bundesliga, and the champions will be restarting their season this Saturday in the German Super Cup. Bayer Leverkusen plays Stuttgart, so let's see how they perform and if they can win the German Super Cup. And then Kevin Akpogoma's Hoffenheim will be in action in the DFB Pokal, basically the German Cup, against Wolfsberger Kickers away this Friday. I think that team must be in like Division 3 or Division 4. Anyway, moving on to La Liga, Chidera Juke and Kelechi Iheanacho will likely kick off their campaign this Friday. Sevilla go away to Las Palmas, so hopefully they could start with 3 points in this game. And then Omar Sadiq's Real Sociedad are playing Rayo Vallecano at home on Sunday. In League 1, Gift Urban's Lyon go away to Rennes. It's unlikely Gift Urban will start, to be honest, but let's see what happens there. And then Akko Adams is in action for Montpellier at home against Strasbourg. Moses Simon has recovered from his fibula injury and he scored a couple times in preseason, but we know he's currently nursing an ankle injury, so I'm not sure if he'll play in non-season opener away against Toulouse on Sunday. And then finally, let's see if Gabriel Oshо makes his Ligue 1 debut at home against Nice for Auxerre. Moving on to the Premier Liga, Zaidu Sanusi is still injured, so we'll see him when he's back in action, which will likely be in October. And as for Boavista, we saw Bruno Yemachi play 90 minutes in their 1-0 win over Casapia on Saturday. Next up for them, that was their season opener, by the way. Next up for them, they play Braga at home on Sunday. Moving on to the Belgian League, and Rafael Yedika played 82 minutes as Club Brugge lost 3-2 to Genk on Sunday. Not the best start to their season. And next up for them, they play Royal Antwerp on Sunday. Speaking of Royal Antwerp, Alassane Youssouf his move has now been confirmed to the MLS. He's signed for New England Revolution, so he obviously did not play for Royal Antwerp over the weekend. However, Nigerian player Victor Udo did play 7 minutes in their 6-1 win over St. Truden. So let's see if Victor Udo plays in the game against Rafael Yedika's Club Brugge on Sunday. Tolu Arokodare, on the other hand, played 90 minutes and scored a goal in Genk's 3-2 win over Club Brugge. So let's see if he can continue his good start to the season against Berchut away on Saturday. Jordan Torunariga is still injured, so we'll see what happens when he gets back to fitness. While Chibukem Ikwemesi made his debut, played 15 minutes for Leuven in their 1-1 draw against Anderlecht on Saturday. Next up for them, they play Cercle Bruges at home on Sunday. Just to round up, in Turkey, we saw Brighton Samo play 76 minutes. Fenerbahce beat Demirspor in the season opener in Turkey. So obviously, Jose Mourinho is trying to win the league there. And, it's going to be a very interesting ride, it's safe to say, with the special one. Next up for them, they play Lille in the Champions League qualifiers. Second leg, I think the first leg ended 1-1. And then they play Giuseppe away on Saturday. Antonino Akeme will be in action against Sivasspor on Sunday. And then they will be in action against Rapid Vienna on Thursday. So let's see how they get on in that game. Kenneth Mero, on the other hand, played 90 minutes and got a yellow card for Kasimpasa in their 3-2 loss against Konyaspor on Saturday. So let's see if he plays again as they play Hatayspor on Monday. In the Scottish League, we saw Cyril Dessers. He's actually started the season pretty well, to be fair. He played 90 minutes and scored a goal in their 2-1 win over Motherwell on Saturday. And also, last week, he scored the equalizer in their Champions League qualifier against Dynamo Kiev away. So this Wednesday, they're going to play Dynamo Kiev at home. And hopefully he could score to take them into the final qualification round for the Champions League. And then this weekend, they play St. Johnstone at home in the League Cup. And then South Africa, Olisanda's playing in the CAF Champions League qualifier for Orlando Pirates against Disciples FC. And then finally in Czech Republic, Igor Ubo played. Next up for them, they play Union Saint-Gilloise on Tuesday in Champions League qualifiers. So the first leg, they lead 3-1 from the first leg. So it's looking good for Igor Ubo and Slavia Prague. And then they'll play Teplice at home on Saturday. Speaking of Champions League qualifiers, another Czech Republic team, Sparta Prague, Victor Latunji played 30 minutes in their 2-1 win over Bohemians on Saturday. And they're also in Champions League qualifiers playing against AFCSB, basically Steaua Bucharest. The first leg was 1-1, so they're going away, so it's going to be a tough one, but let's see how they perform in that one, and if Olatunji plays. And then they played Jablons away on Saturday. Starboy of the week has to be Josh Maja. When you start the season and you score a hat-trick, we salute you. Well done, and long may it continue. I think Josh Maja has been due a very, very good season. Like, he just needs some good luck. So hopefully this will be that season for him, and long may it continue. Ones to watch on Wednesday, Ademola Lookman, Atalanta in action against Real Madrid. You have to see that game. On Friday, the Premier League opener, Alex Iwobi and Calvin Bassey against Manchester United. Fulham beat them last season at Old Trafford, so if you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying. Chira Ejike and Kelechi Iheanacho also in action on Friday for Sevilla against Las Palmas. And then on Saturday, Samuel Chukwueze's AC Milan in action against Torino at home at San Siro. Victor Boniface and Nathan Teller, Bayer Leverkusen in the German Super Cup against Stuttgart on Saturday. Maduka Okoye is playing Bologna away on Sunday. Remember, he's the only Nigerian goalkeeper that plays football for any top 5 league club and starts. Shout out to him. And then Wilfred Ndidi makes his return back to the Premier League for Leicester City against Tottenham Hotspur on Monday. So that should be a very, very interesting one. So that's it for this episode of the podcast. Thanks for rocking with me, guys. Really, really looking forward to the season. It's exciting to be back. Hopefully, our Nigerian players will flourish and strive. Hopefully, we'll see better performances from Super Eagles in the name of Jesus. Hopefully, we'll see the NFF perform better and announce managers on time and just do things the right way, you know. But above all, may we all enjoy all the football. And yeah, take care, and looking forward to the next episode already. Take it easy and enjoy the football, guys. Football's back, baby.
Thanks for watching this video. Please like, share, subscribe, and click the bell to get a notification whenever we drop a video. You can also find our social media channels listed below. And of course, up Super Eagles and Nigeriano they ever carry last.